I was 60 minutes away from marrying the wrong person, until two women I hadn't seen in 8 years crashed my wedding in a helicopter. One message changed everything, and what followed exposed lies, power, and a love that refused to die. Tell Freur, stay till the end to see how it all unfolds. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more unforgettable stories. I sat on the edge of a borrowed bed, wrapped in a dress I never chose, a phone clutched tightly in my hand while the echo of a threat burned through me. 1 hour remained. 60 minutes before I would walk down an aisle toward a woman who had promised, with terrifying calm, to ruin my family if I failed to perform perfectly. Taryn's voice lingered inside me, smooth and cruel, repeating itself like a curse lodged beneath my skin. One mistake, one flicker of defiance, and everything my parents owned would vanish. Their home, their livelihood, their entire world reduced to nothing. Across the room, my reflection stared back from the vanity mirror. The makeup was flawless, almost unreal. Radiant skin, soft shimmer, carefully painted lips. A perfect bride, a stranger. There was no trace of the girl I recognized. No hint of the life I had lived before this moment. Muted laughter and the clinking of glasses drifted in from outside. 200 guests waited in the garden, dressed in elegance, ready to witness a promise that meant nothing. For 6 months, Taryn had tightened her control inch by inch, so subtly I hadn't noticed until the pressure became suffocating. My thumb hovered over my phone. 2 names sat there, untouched, unspoken, buried under 8 years of silence. Numbers I had never deleted, as if holding on to them could somehow keep a piece of hope alive. The Hong twins. Before I could stop myself, I typed 8 words. If you both still want me, come get me. My finger trembled as I pressed send. The message vanished into the unknown, and with it, any chance of turning back. The clock ticked loudly on the wall. 59 minutes. There was no certainty they would see it. No guarantee they still had my number. 8 years of silence does not break easily, and yet I had thrown those words into the void like a final breath before drowning. Somewhere across the city, everything changed. Rian Hong stood in her penthouse office, the skyline stretching endlessly beyond the glass. When her phone buzzed, she barely glanced at it, until she read the message. Then the world stopped, once, twice, a third time, just to be sure it was real. Without a word, she turned and walked out, already calculating distance, time, possibility. A helicopter would cut the journey. She did not hesitate. She had waited 8 years for something, anything, to bring her back. In another tower of glass and steel, Siam Hong sat in the middle of a boardroom, voices rising and falling around her. Her phone lit up. One glance erased everything else. She stood immediately, ignoring the unfinished sentence hanging in the air, and walked out. By the time anyone reacted, she was already in the parking garage, sliding behind the wheel as a convoy fell into place behind her. There was no pause, no second thought. Every obstacle between her and this moment had been dismantled long ago. Back in the bridal suite, I struggled to breathe. The dress tightened around me with every passing second, layers of lace and silk pressing against my skin like a restraint. It had been paid for by Taryn's family, a silent reminder of the imbalance between us. Not a gift, a claim I wanted to tear it off. Instead, I pressed my hand against my chest and counted each heartbeat, grounding myself in something real while trying not to think about what I had just done. Because reaching out meant reopening everything. Ron had been the first. 8 years ago, in a university art studio, where I spent my days covered in paint and unfinished thoughts. She had no reason to be there. She had simply walked past, paused, and stayed, as if something had pulled her in without warning. She kept coming back, watching quietly while I worked. It should have felt intrusive, but it didn't. It felt like being understood without explanation. One night, under a dim sky on the rooftop, she kissed me like she had been holding it back for too long. I kissed her like I had been waiting forever, then Siam entered my life. Softer, quieter, carrying the same face but an entirely different presence. Where Ryan was sharp, Siam was gentle. Where one burned, the other steadied. And somehow, without planning it, the three of us became something undefined yet undeniable. It wasn't simple, it wasn't conventional. It existed in the spaces between labels, growing through shared nights, quiet touches, and an understanding that didn't need words. It felt inevitable. It felt right. We made promises once, under the open sky, believing nothing could pull us apart. We were wrong. Their family discovered us. What we were threatened everything they had built. One morning, they were gone. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence, and a warning delivered through a stranger's voice. Stay away. I tried to reach them. I searched. I waited. until the silence became its own answer. They had chosen their world over me, and I had learned slowly and painfully to accept it. Until now, my phone buzzed, an unknown number. 20 minutes out, then again, a second number. I'm coming, the air left my lungs as I stared at the screen. Both of them. They had answered. They were on their way. Everything I had buried surged back at once. 20 minutes. That was all that remained before the past I thought I had lost forever collided with the future I was being forced into. A sharp knock broke through the moment. The wedding coordinator's voice followed, brisk and cheerful, announcing the countdown. 30 minutes. Everyone was seated. I looked at myself again. Still flawless, still trapped. My voice held steady when I answered, even though everything inside me was unraveling. Moments later, the door opened and my mother stepped in. The expression on her face, pride, relief, hope, tightened something deep in my chest. She saw a beautiful bride. She saw a future secured. I felt like a lie standing in front of her. She spoke gently, reassuringly, believing this was right, believing this would protect me. Each word added weight I could barely carry. I wanted to tell her the truth, to explain the cost hidden behind all this perfection. But the words stayed locked inside me, not yet, not until I knew. She kissed my forehead and left, trusting everything was as it should be. Alone again, I moved to the window and pulled the curtain aside. The garden below was arranged with precision, white chairs aligned perfectly, flowers blooming in careful symmetry. Taryn stood at the front, smiling, greeting guests as if nothing in the world could touch her. Then she looked up. Our eyes met through the glass. Her smile didn't change, but something behind it did. Cold. Certain. I let the curtain fall, my pulse racing. Time was slipping away. Then a sound cut through everything. Low at first, distant, then growing louder, heavier, impossible to ignore. The steady thunder of helicopter blades. I froze. The noise swallowed the music, the laughter, the illusion of calm. Slowly, I pulled the curtain back again and looked up. A black helicopter descended from the sky, sharp and deliberate, like the arrival of something inevitable I could no longer escape. The blades tore through the air, shredding the calm into something jagged and chaotic. Guests rose from their seats, pointing upward as confusion rippled through the garden. Voices overlapped, rising into a restless wave that even reached me through the glass. The helicopter descended and settled at the edge of the clearing. A scream cut through the noise. Someone else laughed, thin and uncertain. The door opened. Rian stepped out, and everything inside me went still. She was the same, and not. Taller, or maybe just heavier with presence. Her movements carried a precision I didn't remember, every step deliberate, controlled. A tailored black suit traced sharp lines along her frame, her hair shorter, cleaner, every detail refined into something colder. The confidence I had known before had evolved into something untouchable. Something powerful enough to unsettle the ground beneath it. She didn't acknowledge anyone. Her gaze cut straight ahead, scanning, focused with an intensity that made my stomach tighten. She was searching. For me, before the moment could settle, 3 black SUVs rolled up to the entrance. Their doors opened in perfect unison. Sam stepped out. She had changed too. Her hair was longer now, drawn back neatly, her features softer at a glance, but the quiet intensity remained, deeper than before. It used to make me feel like the only person in the world when she looked at me. Now her attention wasn't on me. It was on Ryan. Across the garden, their eyes met. The world seemed to tilt. 2 identical faces, frozen in shock, 8 years of silence crashing between them all at once. The air thickened with whispers, confusion spreading like fire. Fragments of voices drifted upward. Questions, disbelief, curiosity spiraling through the crowd. Then Taryn moved. Her voice cut sharply through the noise as she approached Ryan, chin lifted, authority radiating from every step. She raised a hand as if she could stop the moment by sheer force. Ryan didn't even look at her. Instead, her gaze lifted slowly, sweeping across the building until it found me. Siam followed, and just like that, everything narrowed to 3 points. My eyes, Ryan's. Siam's distance collapsed into nothing. Ryan moved first, heading straight for the building. Siam fell into step beside her without hesitation. Their movements aligned as if the years between them had never existed. Taran reached out and grabbed Ryan's arm. Ryan stopped. Her eyes dropped to the hand on her sleeve, then rose to meet Taryn's face. Move. The word landed cold and absolute. Taryn didn't release her. She called for security. 2 men stepped forward. Ryan's people moved at the same time. Siam's security closed in, tightening the space until the garden transformed into a standoff in seconds. But neither of them slowed. They walked straight through the tension as if it didn't exist, cutting a path toward the entrance with quiet certainty. And in that moment, it became painfully clear. Nothing Taryn did would stop them. They were coming for me. I stepped back from the window, my heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. The door to the suite stood unlocked. They would walk right in. They would see me like this, trapped in a life I never chose, wearing a future that didn't belong to me. I had no idea what I would say. Footsteps thundered in the hallway, fast and heavy. The handle turned, the door opened, and my past stepped inside. Ron entered first. Siam followed half a step behind. They stopped the instant they saw me, like something had frozen their bodies in place while their eyes kept moving, taking everything in. I couldn't move. 8 years collapsed into that space between us. 8 years of silence, of learning how to exist without them. And now they stood only a few feet away, staring at me in a dress I never wanted, in a room I never wanted to be in. Ryan looked at me like I had struck her. Siam's jaw tightened, something unreadable flickering across her face before it vanished behind control. The silence stretched thin, fragile. I saw the changes clearly now. Ryan carried strength like armor, her posture rigid with years of building walls I had never been allowed to see. Siam's eyes held weight, sharper, marked by everything time had added. But their faces, those hadn't changed. Ryan broke first. "Do you want this?" Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. They held too much, questions, urgency, something dangerously close to breaking. My throat tightened. No. The word barely held together as it left me. Siam's hands curled at her sides. Then why? Because she'll destroy them. My voice cracked under the weight of it. I hated how small it sounded. My parents, everything they've built. She made it clear what happens if I don't go through with this. Ryan's expression shifted, not toward me, but towards something colder, something forming behind her eyes. Sam stepped closer, her voice low and controlled. What exactly did she say? That she'll take everything? Their house, their business. She has leverage I didn't even know existed. My hand pressed against my chest again, trying to steady the panic rising inside me. I tried to leave. I did. But she has lawyers, money, connections, and I have nothing. I had nothing, Siam corrected quietly. The words hung there, past tense. Ryan and Sam exchanged a glance, brief, layered, a silent conversation that needed no sound. Somehow it still worked. "We're getting you out of here," Ryan said, not a suggestion, a decision. "You can't just, I've already handled her leverage." Sam's tone remained calm, almost detached. The room seemed to shift. She continued, steady as ever, laying out the truth piece by piece: shell companies, falsified contracts, forged documents, evidence strong enough to dismantle everything Taryn had built. "I have copies of all of it," she finished, enough to keep her in court for years. My thoughts stumbled over each other, struggling to keep up. How? Why? Because I've been watching. Her gaze didn't leave mine. Not close enough to interfere. Close enough to know when you'd need us. Something sharp twisted in my chest. Ryan shifted slightly. I knew about her other life. The words hit harder than anything else. Taryn is already married. She has a family. She never ended it. This wedding wouldn't even be legal. The world tilted again. You knew. The realization tasted bitter. Both of you. You knew. Neither of them denied it. "You've been watching me," I said, quieter now. "For how long?" 8 years, Ryan answered. 6, Siam added. A hollow laugh escaped me. "You watched me fall into this. You knew I was trapped." "Gia, why did you leave?" The question tore out before I could stop it. "Both of you. Why did you disappear?" Sam looked at Ryan. Ryan looked away, then finally spoke. "Our father gave us a choice, you, or everything else. The company, the family, our future. And if we didn't walk away," her voice tightened slightly, "he would have made you pay for it. So you left to protect me." The words trembled. "Yes, without asking, without trusting me to choose. He destroyed me anyway." The pain came out louder than I intended. "You both did. You left me with silence, with nothing." Siam stepped forward again. "We were wrong." Her voice held no hesitation. "We should have fought. We should have told you everything. Given you the choice we took from you. And instead, you controlled everything from the shadows. Removed obstacles," she corrected softly. "So when the moment came, we could actually reach you, and you did." The words came quieter now. "You both did." The door slammed open. Taryn stormed in, fury no longer hidden, 2 guards at her side. The mask was gone, replaced by something raw and vicious. "Get out," she pointed at them, her voice sharp with rage. "Both of you." Now, before I have you arrested, Ryan didn't turn. Her voice remained calm, almost indifferent. You won't. Try me, Taryn hissed. CM didn't flinch. She lifted her phone, tapped the screen twice, and spoke with quiet precision. Your wife's name is Claire Hriss. Your daughter is 5. You've been sending money through offshore accounts for 3 years. Her eyes rose, steady and unblinking. I can keep going, or you can leave. The color drained from Taryn's face. You can't prove that. I can prove all of it, Siam replied, cutting straight through the denial. And I will make it public unless you walk away from Gia right now and forget this wedding ever existed. Taryn's hands trembled, but she forced out one last threat. Her parents will lose everything. No, Ryan said, finally turning to face her. Her voice was calm, but there was something lethal beneath it. They won't. The contracts you're using are fraudulent. The second you try to enforce them, you'll be the one facing charges. Taryn's gaze snapped between them, then landed on me. That was the moment it broke, the certainty. The control gone. This isn't over, she spat, her voice sharp with venom. Yes, Ryan answered, cold and final. It is. Taryn turned and walked out. The guards hesitated, then followed. The door shut behind them, silence flooded the room. Ryan looked at me, Sam looked at me. We're leaving, Ryan said quietly. Now. She held out her hand, Sam did the same from the other side. Both of them waiting, outside. The noise had returned. Raised voices, confusion, the fragile structure of the event collapsing in real time. Somewhere in the chaos, Taryn's voice tried to climb back into control, already slipping through her fingers. My parents were out there. 200 witnesses, a scandal that would follow me long after today. But staying meant surrendering to a lie. Staying meant disappearing. My gaze dropped to their hands. Then I reached for both, my fingers closed around theirs, and everything stilled. 8 years of distance dissolved in a single touch. Ryan's grip was firm, grounding. Siam's softer, steady in a different way. Both familiar enough to hurt. Neither of them let go. Neither did I. Come on, Ryan murmured. They moved together, and I followed. The hallway stretched ahead of us as my dress trailed behind like a ghost I was shedding step by step. The noise outside grew louder, sharper, until it swallowed everything. The music had stopped. We reached the entrance. Then we stepped into the garden. Every face turned toward us at once. The noise didn't fade. It surged. Phones lifted into the air, whispers breaking into full voices, questions spilling over each other. The weight of attention pressed down from every direction. I felt it all. Gia Song in a wedding dress, standing between 2 identical women in black suits who had just arrived in the middle of everything and torn it apart. Gia! My mother's voice cut through the chaos. She pushed through the crowd, my father close behind. Their expressions held confusion, fear, disbelief, emotions colliding without resolution. She reached me first. What's happening? What are you doing? My mouth opened, but the words caught somewhere deep inside. My father's gaze moved from Ryan to Siam, then back to me. Talk to us. Slowly, I released their hands and turned to face my parents. My voice shook, but I forced it through. I can't marry her. My mother's expression crumpled. What do you mean you can't? I don't love her. The truth tightened my throat. I never did, and she isn't who you think she is. My father's face hardened slightly. Then who are they? His hand gestured behind me. I glanced back at them, then forward again. People I used to know, I said softly. People I needed. Before anything else could be said, Taryn's voice cut through the air again. This is insane. She moved toward us, anger burning openly now. The crowd parted around her, leaving a clear path. She stopped just a few feet away, breathing hard, eyes locked on mine. You're really doing this? Her voice carried, loud enough for everyone to hear. After everything I've done for you? For your family? I flinched, and she saw it. She pressed harder. Your parents will lose everything because of this. Her hand swept toward the crowd. Everyone here is a witness. You made a commitment. You signed contracts, and now you're walking away with. Her gaze snapped to Ryan and CM, filled with contempt. Strangers, my mother's grip tightened on my arm. Gia, what is she talking about? Taryn smiled, sharp and cruel. Tell them, she urged. Tell them what happens if you leave me standing here. My stomach twisted. Sam stepped forward. She's lying. The words cut cleanly through the noise. Every head turned. Sam raised her phone, holding it where others could see. Taryn Cho is already married, she said, her voice calm, carrying effortlessly. Her wife's name is Claire Hendricks. They have a 5-year-old daughter. She's been sending them money through offshore accounts for years while presenting herself as single. The garden went silent, Taryn's face drained of color. That's not. I have the marriage certificate, CM continued. Bank records, emails, photos, all verified. Her gaze locked onto Taran. You can walk away quietly, or I can share it all right now. A ripple moved through the crowd. Gasps. Murmurs, phone still recording. You can't prove any of that, Taran snapped, but the certainty was gone. I already have, CM replied. And if you come after Gia or her family, it won't stay private. The shift in the crowd was immediate. Suspicion replaced admiration. Judgment replaced curiosity. Taran saw it, her composure cracked completely. This is slander, she spat. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Ryan stepped forward, aligning herself beside CM. We know exactly who you are, she said, and you're done. The two of them stood together, unshakable, a united front of quiet certainty. Taran stared at them, then at me, and in that moment she understood. She had lost. You'll regret this, she said, low and venomous. Then she turned and walked away, her family scrambling behind her, already trying to contain the fallout. The garden erupted again, whispers, voices, chaos. My father pulled me aside, his voice lowered but urgent. Gia, what just happened? I'll explain, I said, steadying myself. But I need to leave. My mother's eyes were wet now, searching my face. Are you safe? Yes, the answer came without hesitation. She held my gaze, then nodded slowly. My father didn't look convinced, but he didn't stop me. Ryan's hand brushed my shoulder. The helicopter's ready. Sam gestured toward the line of SUVs. Or we take the convoy. 2 paths, 2 exits, both leading away. But not everything could be left behind. I turned fully toward them. The question that had been burning inside me finally broke free. Where were you? They stilled. Not where we're going, I continued, my voice steady now. Where were you for 8 years? The noise around us faded into nothing. You said you were watching, that you knew. The words sharpened. So where were you when I needed you? Ryan's jaw tightened. Siam's gaze shifted. Something unspoken moving beneath the surface. No one else mattered in that moment, not the crowd, not my parents, not the chaos waiting behind us. Only the answer. Where were you? The question hung between us, heavy and unavoidable. Ryan's expression changed, not defensive but something deeper, pain. Our father made it clear, she said slowly. If we stayed, you would suffer for it. Not your family. You. Each word landed with weight. Every opportunity you had, he would take. Every path you tried to follow, he would close. He would make our love the reason your life fell apart. The truth settled into me like stone. So we left. Her voice softened, just slightly. We thought if we disappeared completely, you could build something without us destroying it. Siam stepped closer. I spent 6 years dismantling his power, piece by piece. Building something of my own so he couldn't touch you anymore, so he couldn't threaten any of us again. 6 years, I repeated quietly. The number lingered between us, heavy with everything it carried. My voice felt hollow when I spoke, like the sound didn't quite belong to me. And you, Rian? She didn't hesitate. Rebuilding. The word was simple, but the weight behind it wasn't. Our father tried to tear the hotel empire apart when we refused to forget you. I took it back, made it stronger, made sure he could never use it against us again. I looked from one to the other, trying to process it. So while I was here, you were both building empires. We were protecting you, Siam said. The words hit wrong. I didn't ask you to protect me. My voice rose before I could stop it. I asked you to stay. I asked you to fight with me, not for me. Ryan's jaw tightened, something sharp flickering in her expression. If you had stayed, I would have had a choice. I cut her off, the frustration spilling out now. You decided for me, both of you. You decided I was fragile, something to hide away, instead of someone strong enough to stand beside you. Siam's gaze shifted, something unreadable moving behind her eyes. You're right. The words stopped me. We should have told you, she continued, her voice steady. We should have given you the chance to choose, to fight with us. We didn't. We treated you like someone to protect instead of someone to trust. Ryan glanced at her, then back at me. I thought keeping you out of it meant keeping you safe, she admitted. It wasn't. It was control. Just another way of taking your choices away. The honesty landed harder than anger would have. We were scared, Ryan added, quieter now. The word cracked slightly. Terrified of him. Of what he could do. And we let that fear make our decisions, instead of trusting you to make your own. I pressed my hand to my chest, trying to steady my breathing. You watched me for years, I said. You knew I was struggling. You knew about Taran. Why didn't you come back? Because you looked okay, Siam said softly. stable. I saw you teaching, building something, smiling. I thought maybe you'd moved on, that showing up would only break you all over again. Until 6 months ago, Ryan added, when you got engaged. I stared at her. You knew. I knew immediately, she said. And I started digging into Taryn the same day. The pieces clicked together too fast. You found everything. Her wife, her child. The fraud, Ryan said. All of it. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I wasn't sure you'd believe me, she answered. There was no hesitation in it, just truth. We'd been gone for 8 years, no contact. Then suddenly I show up accusing the person you're about to marry? It would have sounded like jealousy, like manipulation. Her head shook slightly. I thought you'd think I was trying to ruin your happiness. I turned to Siam. And you? When did you step in? The same time she did, Siam said. We weren't in contact, but we were both watching you. Both saw the engagement. Both started investigating on our own. Something cold settled in my stomach. You weren't even talking to each other. They exchanged a glance. We haven't spoken in 8 years, Siam said quietly. Not since the night we left, my breath caught. You've been apart, this whole time? Our father made sure of it, Ryan said, her voice tightening. Sent me to manage operations overseas. Sent Siam somewhere else. Different continents, different lives. A punishment, Siam added. For all of us. But you're both here now. I came back 2 years ago, Ryan said. Took control of the company, forced him out. I came back 8 months ago, Siam followed. After I built enough independence that he couldn't touch me. And still, nothing. I couldn't hide the disbelief. You didn't even reach out to each other. We kept track, Siam said, through other people. I knew where she was, what she was doing. But actually speaking, Ryan finished. That felt impossible. Why? Because if we reconnected without you, Siam said, it felt like we were accepting that you were gone. The absurdity of it hit all at once. So all 3 of us were here, in the same city. Watching from a distance? Silence answered me. Suffering separately, I added. For what? Fear, Siam said simply. I thought you'd hate me. Ryan exhaled slowly. I thought you'd moved on. That 8 years was too long, that we'd become strangers. I really looked at them then, past the composure, past the control. I saw exhaustion in Ryan's stillness, tension in Siam's shoulders, the quiet distance both of them carried like armor. Did it ever occur to you, I said slowly, that maybe I was waiting too? Ryan's breath caught. I never stopped, I admitted, my voice breaking. I tried to move on. I really did. But everything after you felt like settling. Like choosing less because I couldn't have what I actually wanted. Gia, I need to know something. I didn't let them interrupt. Do you want me? Or do you just feel guilty? I never stopped wanting you. Ryan said instantly. The force of it left no room for doubt, not for a single day. Neither did I, Siam added. I built everything I have so I could come back to you. So I could be someone who deserved a second chance. The sound of sirens cut through the air. Closest, getting closer. Ryan's head turned sharply. We need to go. She reached for me. Siam did the same. Both hands extended, waiting. I looked at them, at their faces, at everything we had lost. And everything still unresolved. Then something silent passed between them. A glance. An understanding. Siam nodded toward the helicopter. We moved together. The crowd blurred as we cut through it, voices rising behind us. My parents tried to follow, but security stepped in, holding the line. I caught my mother's eyes, mouthed an apology. She pressed her hand to her mouth, tears already falling. The helicopter blades were spinning when we reached it. Ryan climbed in first, turning back to help me up. Sam followed, settling at my other side. The door shut. The ground fell away. The garden shrank beneath us. The guests, the chaos, Taryn's fury. All of it fading into something distant, something finished. I exhaled, the tension I had carried for months drained out of me, leaving me shaking, weightless, empty. Ryan's hand found mine. Siam's fingers laced through my other. No words, none were needed. The helicopter climbed higher. For the first time in 8 years, the 3 of us were in the same place again. Not memories. Not distance. Real together. Then Ryan's phone rang. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and went completely still. Sam leaned in, saw the name, her jaw tightening instantly. I looked between them. Who is it? Ryan didn't answer right away. Her thumb hovered over the screen. I could see the name even from where I sat. Father. 3 seconds stretched into something endless, then she answered. Put it on speaker, Sam said. A voice filled the cabin, cold. Controlled, sharp enough to cut. Do you have any idea what you've just done? I had never heard him before, but I knew exactly who he was. Ryan's jaw set. Hello to you, too. Don't. The interruption snapped through the air. I've been receiving calls for the last 10 minutes. Videos. Reports. My daughter's arriving at a wedding in a helicopter, causing a public spectacle. A pause, heavy. Tell me I'm mistaken. You're not, CM said evenly. Something shifted in his tone, disappointment edged with irritation. I expected better judgment from you. Then you never really knew me, she replied. Silence followed, deliberate, measured. Who is she? He asked finally. The girl you decided was worth all of this. My stomach dropped. Ryan glanced at me before answering. Someone we should never have left. A quiet pause then. Her the single word carried recognition. Memory, disapproval. This is about that girl. The one I told you to forget, Gia, Ryan said firmly. Her name is Gia. I don't care what her name is, he snapped. I care that you've just turned yourselves into a spectacle. Do you understand what this does to everything I built? CM's voice cut through, quiet but sharp. Everything you built? A beat. Or everything you stole? Silence snapped across the line, thin and volatile. Careful, he said, his voice dropping into something dangerously soft. I'm done being careful, CM replied. There was no hesitation left in her now, no restraint. You had your chance 8 years ago. You made your threats. You tore us apart. You got exactly what you wanted. Her tone hardened. But we're not those girls anymore. A brittle laugh came through the speaker. Clearly, those girls understood consequences. They knew what it meant to protect their family. We are protecting our family, Ryan said. Her grip tightened around the phone, knuckles pale. Just not the one you built. You think you're independent now? He scoffed. You think running companies and making money makes you free? His voice sharpened. You still carry my name. You still benefit from everything I created. Nothing you have exists without my permission. Wrong, CM cut in. Everything I have exists because I built it without you. Each word landed with precision. 6 years of removing every person you planted around me. Every board member. Every investor you tried to turn against me. I documented all of it. A pause. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Her voice didn't rise, didn't waver. You make one move against Gia and everything comes out. The accounts, the fraud, the bribes, all of it. Silence stretched longer this time. When he spoke again, the tone had shifted. Queer mother would be ashamed. Ryan flinched. A real reaction, sharp and immediate. Don't, she said, her voice low, edged with warning. She raised you to understand duty, he continued, relentless. Responsibility, loyalty. And now you throw it away for what? A pause. For someone you barely know anymore. Ryan's jaw set. We know exactly who she is. Do you? He challenged. 8 years is a long time. People change. The person you remember might not even exist anymore. His voice turned colder. And you're willing to destroy everything for that. Your reputation. Your future. For a memory. Something in me snapped. I reached across and took the phone from Ryan before I could second guess it. She looked at me, startled. I brought it closer. I'm not a memory. Silence. And I'm not something you get to use in whatever game you're playing with your daughters. My voice held steady, stronger than I expected. If you have something to say about me, say it to me. A pause, long deliberate. Gia song, he said slowly, as if testing the shape of my name, so you do speak. I always have, I replied. They just chose to listen. A faint shift in his tone, something close to amusement. Interesting, then sharper. What makes you think you're worth this? Worth them tearing down everything they've built? I don't, I said simply. I never asked them to sacrifice anything. That was their choice. If you have a problem with it, take it up with them. He laughed, actually laughed. You have more spine than I expected. Is that supposed to matter? It's an observation, a beat, but strength doesn't protect you from consequences. His voice dropped again, colder now. They may believe they're untouchable, they're not, and neither are you. Then do your worst. The words came out before I could stop them. Clear, sharp, final. I already survived losing them once. I'm not afraid of you. Silence followed heavy. Ryan was staring at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Siam's expression had softened, something quiet shifting behind her eyes. We'll see, he said at last. The line didn't disconnect immediately, but the weight of his presence lingered even after his voice faded. Then the pilot's voice cut through the tension. Approaching landing site. 2 minutes. I turned toward the window. Below us, land rose out of the dark water, an island edged with cliffs, crowned by a sprawling structure carved into stone. Glass, steel, and shadow, isolated, Untouchable. Where are we going? I asked. Ron and Siam exchanged a glance. Somewhere he can't reach, Siam said. The speaker crackled once more. You think distance will protect you? His voice returned, sharp and certain. You think running solves anything? A pause. I found you once, I'll find you again. The call ended. Whether he hung up or the signal died, it didn't matter. The helicopter descended, settling onto a stone landing pad. The blade slowed, the roar fading into a low hum. Up close, the estate felt even more unreal. Clean lines, glass walls stretching toward the horizon, terraces carved into the cliffside. Quiet wealth that didn't need to prove itself. Rian stepped out first, turning back to offer her hand. I took it, Siam followed close behind. The air hit differently here. Salt, wind, something sharp and clean that filled my lungs in a way the city never had. Freedom. I turned slowly, taking it in. This place. My voice trailed off. Whose is it? Ours, they said at the same time. I blinked, looking between them. Ours? They both nodded. A cold realization crept in. When? 2 years ago, Siam said. I stepped back. You told me you haven't spoken in 8 years. We haven't, Ryan said carefully. Then how does this happen? I gestured toward the estate, the land, everything. How do you build something like this together without speaking? Another glance passed between them. Lawyers, Siam said. Intermediaries. We both wanted a place he couldn't touch, Ryan added. It turned out we had the same idea, without ever actually talking. Yes. A hollow laugh escaped me. So you have been in contact, just indirectly, Gya. How long? I cut her off. How long have you been coordinating behind the scenes while telling me you were completely separated? This time, the silence stretched too long. Ron finally answered. 2 years. Not directly, Siam added, but through legal teams, since she forced him out. Coordinating what? Resources, Siam said. Properties, security, contingencies. A pause. We knew eventually we would come back to you. We wanted to make sure when we did, you'd be safe. I let out a short, sharp laugh. Safe. The word tasted bitter. You keep saying that like it fixes anything. It doesn't, Ryan said quietly. I know it doesn't. Do you? I turned to face them fully. Because from where I'm standing, this looks exactly like what he did. Control. Manipulation. Decisions made for me instead of with me. Neither of them argued. You tracked me, investigated my life. Built exit plans I didn't ask for, all without ever asking what I wanted. You're right, Siam said. The immediate agreement threw me off balance. We did exactly that, she continued. We made choices for you. Treated you like someone who needed saving instead of someone who could stand on her own. Ryan exhaled slowly. We learned it from him, she said. Control disguised as protection. Her gaze met mine. We swore we'd never become that, a beat, and then we did. Something in my chest shifted. Not forgiveness, but something close to recognition. I need honesty, I said. Complete honesty. No more secrets, no more half-truths. Ryan nodded. Starting now. I crossed my arms. What else? Another glance between them. Surveillance, Siam admitted. We both had people watching you. My stomach dropped. You had me followed. Yes, for how long? 2 years, Ryan said. 8 months, Siam added. I pressed my hand to my forehead. This is insane. They didn't argue. It's unacceptable, Ryan said quietly. Yes, Siam agreed. Then why? A long pause. Because we couldn't stay away, Siam said finally, her voice softened. We couldn't be in the same city as you and pretend you didn't exist. Another breath. We needed to know you were okay. I sat on the edge of a bed that didn't belong to me, wrapped in a dress I had never chosen, a phone trembling in my hand and a threat still echoing through my chest. Time had narrowed to a single brutal countdown. In less than an hour, I would walk down an aisle toward a woman who had promised to ruin my family if I failed to perform happiness convincingly enough. Her voice lingered, smooth and poisonous, threading through every breath. One mistake, one flicker of defiance, and everything my parents had built would vanish. Their home, their work, their stability gone, erased as easily as a signature on paper. In the mirror, a stranger stared back. Perfect makeup, luminous skin, a bride crafted to impress. The illusion was flawless. It just wasn't me. Below, the celebration carried on as if nothing were wrong. Laughter drifted upward, glasses clinked. 200 guests gathered in a garden to witness a promise I never intended to keep. 6 months had passed under her control, tightening gradually, invisibly, until I couldn't breathe without feeling the leash. My thumb hovered over my phone. 2 names sat there like ghosts I had never truly buried. 8 years of silence pressed against 8 fragile words. If you both still want me, come get me. The message left my screen before fear could stop it. After that, there was nothing to do but wait. Seconds dragged. The clock ticked louder than my heartbeat. I had no certainty left. Not about whether they would see it, not about whether they still cared, not even about who they had become. Only one truth remained. I had just set something in motion that could not be undone. Miles away, in separate corners of a city that had grown around their absence, two lives shifted instantly. A buzzing phone, a single message, and everything else lost meaning. She read it once, then again, as if repetition might steady the shock. It didn't. Movement came instead, swift, decisive. Meetings abandoned, voices ignored, plans recalculated mid-step. Distance became a problem to solve. Time became an enemy to outrun. Another phone lit up in another room. Another pause, sharp and absolute. A chair scraped back, a conversation cut short. Action replaced hesitation before doubt could take root. Orders formed, routes mapped, obstacles dismissed. 8 years of silence shattered in seconds. Back in the bridal suite, the air felt thinner with every passing minute. The dress clung tighter, heavy with meaning I refused to accept. It wasn't just fabric. It was a reminder of obligation, of control, of everything I was about to lose if I stayed. Memories surged despite my effort to hold them back. Paint-streaked hands in a university studio. Quiet presence turning into something magnetic. A rooftop beneath polluted city lights, where a first kiss had rewritten everything I thought I understood. Then another presence, softer but no less consuming. A connection that blurred lines and rewrote definitions. 3 lives weaving together into something unnamed but undeniable. Promises made under open sky, whispered with certainty that felt eternal, until it wasn't. One morning, they were simply gone. No explanation, no goodbye. Just absence and a warning to move on. I tried, I failed. Eventually, I learned how to exist around the emptiness they left behind. Now that emptiness was cracking open again. My phone buzzed, 20 minutes out. Another vibration followed almost immediately. I'm coming. The words didn't feel real, not after so long, not after everything that had happened. Yet they were here, undeniable, pulling the past straight into the present. Outside, the wedding continued. Inside, everything was unraveling. When the first distant thrum reached the air, it didn't belong. It grew louder, cutting through music and conversation, turning heads upward. The sound of blades tearing through the sky replaced the gentle hum of celebration. A helicopter descended, black against the light, landing at the edge of the garden like a disruption made physical. Confusion spread instantly, guests rising, voices overlapping, reality tilting. The door opened. She stepped out, familiar and foreign at once. The same face I remembered, sharpened by time, framed by a presence that commanded space instead of simply occupying it. Confidence had evolved into something colder, harder, undeniable. She moved forward without hesitation, cutting through the crowd as though nothing there could slow her down. Then another arrival. Vehicles pulling in with synchronized precision, doors opening in unison. A second figure stepping out, quieter in movement but no less powerful in presence. Their eyes met across the distance. 8 years of separation collapsed into a single charged moment. Shock flickered, then something deeper, heavier, impossible to name. The garden shifted around them, tension building, confusion thickening. Questions rose from every direction, but answers weren't coming. Another voice cut through it all, sharp with authority, demanding control over something already slipping away. It didn't matter. Nothing could stop what had already begun. Above it all, 3 gazes locked through glass and distance, mine. Theirs. Everything else faded. They started moving at the same time. No discussion, no hesitation. Perfect alignment, as if those lost years had never existed. And I knew, with a clarity that left no room for doubt, that they weren't stopping until they reached me. The question landed softly, almost gently, but it carried weight that pressed into the silence. Happiness. It lingered between them, fragile and unavoidable. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then the answer came, steady despite everything. Yes, the second voice followed, quieter but just as certain. Yes, their father absorbed it in silence, nodding slowly as if something inside him had finally settled into place. He moved toward the couch and sat down, the strength in his posture slipping just enough to reveal the years beneath it. A memory surfaced in his voice when he spoke again, something older than anger, older than control. A promise. One made to a woman who had seen more clearly than he ever allowed himself to. She had asked him before the end to let their daughters choose their own happiness, to trust them with their own lives. To step back, he hadn't done it 8 years ago, He had broken that promise without hesitation, and every day since it had followed him. From inside his jacket, he pulled out an envelope, its edges softened by time. He held it out carefully, like it carried something fragile enough to break if handled wrong. It was hers, written before she was gone. Meant for them. Meant to be read years ago. And hidden fear had kept it buried. Fear of losing control, of losing them, of losing the version of the world he believed he could still shape. The paper passed into waiting hands, trembling despite the composure they tried to hold. The seal broke. Ink met eyes that had waited too long for truth. They read together, and the silence that followed said everything words couldn't. Emotion cracked through carefully built walls. Breath hitched. Fingers tightened. The letter was folded again with reverence, held close like something that might disappear if released. Her words lingered even after the paper was still. Love in any form was worth fighting for. A truth so simple, so obvious, and yet it had taken years of damage to finally be heard. Their father acknowledged it quietly. She had been right. He simply hadn't been strong enough to believe her when it mattered. Now he did. The shift had come not from reflection alone, but from witnessing something undeniable. The spectacle, the defiance, the way they had moved without hesitation, without permission. They had already chosen, and they had never needed his approval to do it. He rose slowly, the decision already made. This wasn't a reclaiming. It wasn't control reasserted. It was release. He had come to let go. At the doorway, he paused, turning back just once. His gaze settled, not with judgment, but with something quieter, something almost like acceptance, a final acknowledgement. Then he left. Outside, the engines started. The distance widened. The presence that had loomed for so long began to recede, shrinking into the horizon until it was nothing more than absence. Inside, something broke open, not with anger, not with resistance, but with grief. The sound that followed was raw, unguarded, pulled from a place that had been held tight for too many years. It wasn't controlled. It wasn't contained. It was release, arms wrapped around shoulders, steadying, holding, anchoring. The kind of closeness that didn't need words, didn't need explanation, just presence. Another step closer, another hand reaching out, until all three were bound together in something fragile and real, holding each other upright in the aftermath of everything that had just shifted. Time passed without measure. Eventually, the tears eased, breathing steadied. Space returned, but it felt different now. Quieter, more honest. There were no enemies left to fight, no threats hanging overhead, no chaos forcing them together. Only the three of them remained. And that was somehow more uncertain than everything that came before, because now there was nothing to hide behind. Morning arrived gently, sunlight spilling across unfamiliar walls. The first moments carried disorientation, a flicker of panic, before memory settled everything back into place. The island, the confrontation, the departure, real voices drifted from below, low and familiar. Movement followed instinct, leading down into a space filled with light and quiet effort, one at the stove, focused, the other setting plates with careful precision, a routine forming out of nothing. They looked up together. Recognition passed between them, softer now, edged with something cautious. Coffee appeared without asking, familiar details remembered without effort, small things that spoke louder than anything grand. The rhythm between them wasn't perfect, not yet, but it existed. Subtle exchanges, quiet coordination, an attempt at something normal. And that attempt made everything feel more real than the chaos ever had. Conversation came slowly, honesty laid out piece by piece. No illusions, no certainty, just the truth. None of them knew how to make this work, but they wanted to try. Fear sat openly at the table, named without hesitation. Fear of repeating old mistakes, fear of being left behind again, fear of not being enough. All of it shared, all of it real. Hands reached across the space between them, closing the distance not with certainty, but with intention. Not choosing one over the other, never that. It had never been about choosing. It had always been about something more complicated, more layered, something that didn't fit into simple answers. And maybe that was the point. The quiet that followed wasn't empty, it was present, grounded, a beginning, uncertain but genuine. Outside, the air carried something different. Not pressure, not expectation, possibility. Steps led toward open space, toward the edge of something vast and undefined. Fingers brushed, then intertwined, tentative but deliberate. Three people moving forward without knowing exactly where it would lead. Only knowing they were no longer standing still. At the shoreline, the world stretched wide and open. No hiding, no pretending. Just truth. And in that moment, something shifted. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, just enough to be felt. A choice made without words, distance closed. 8 years disappeared in a single heartbeat. She watched us with something unguarded in her eyes, something that didn't try to hide anymore. I reached for her, and she closed the distance without hesitation. Her lips met mine slowly, deliberately, as if she was learning me all over again, committing every detail to memory. One hand stayed steady at my back, grounding, anchoring, reminding me I wasn't standing here alone. When she pulled away, her forehead rested against mine, breath warm, unsteady but certain. The moment held, suspended between what we had been and what we were trying to become. The answer formed around us without rush. Not something finished, not something defined, but something being built, carefully, intentionally, piece by piece. No more silence. No more decisions made in shadows. This time there would be clarity, honesty, boundaries that belonged to all of us instead of being drawn for us. Agreement settled easily, not forced, not fragile, shared. We returned to the house as the sun climbed higher, the light stretching across the terrace and the water beyond it. The horizon felt endless, open in a way that made everything ahead seem possible and uncertain at the same time. Responsibility waited too. Conversations that couldn't be avoided anymore. Truths that had to be spoken out loud instead of buried. Facing the people who loved me, not with excuses, but with honesty. The idea of doing it together didn't feel as impossible as it once would have. They would have questions. They deserved answers. The city lingered in the distance, familiar and distant all at once. A place that could become home again, if we chose it. A place that didn't have to stay separate from this new beginning. The word settled between us. Together, it carried weight, not just hope, but responsibility. It wasn't a promise of perfection. It was a commitment to try. Hands found each other again naturally now. One on either side, steady and real. We sat like that while the day unfolded, not rushing forward, not looking back, just existing in the quiet truth of what we had chosen. We weren't untouched by what had happened. The years had left marks, carved out spaces that wouldn't disappear overnight. But those spaces no longer felt empty. They felt like something we could fill, slowly, if we were willing. Nothing about this was guaranteed. Tomorrow remained uncertain. The future wasn't mapped out or secured. But the desire to find out, to stay, to try, to build something real, was there. And that was enough to begin. A small shift passed between us, almost imperceptible, but solid. Not dramatic, not overwhelming. Just the quiet understanding that this was where it started. Not with certainty, with choice. And for the first time in years, that choice felt real.